Hey everybody, my name is Tony Vicinda from Plus One EXP, and we are ZineQuesting. ZineQuesting is a series that we're doing on our Twitch and YouTube channel, where we basically every day look at different live RPG projects for ZineQuest. I talk about the pages, I talk about what I love about them, I talk about different things that stand out to me. I back some of them on the stream, but for this Sunday, we wanted to do something a little bit different. I wanted to take a look at solo RPGs, and I have a special guest here with me to do it. I'm going to let her introduce herself, and that is Anna Blackwell. Anna, tell people who you are, what you do on the internet, where they can find you, and what your connection to solo RPGs is.
Hi, I started doing solo RPGs last year. I run the monthly micro game in Tabletop Gaming Magazine. Uh, Last year, I kickstarted Rise, Delve, and Umbra, which I'm very pleased with, and is what brought me back this year to make Apothecaria. You can find me at Blackwell Writer at .itch.io and blackwellwriter.com.
Yeah, I love the look of Anna's RPGs. Anna actually has sent me some. Hopefully, they will arrive one day, but Philly mail is particularly bad. We're not out of the realm of we're into the realm of hopelessness yet. We're just into the realm of oh man, like one day they'll leave a distribution center and make it to my house.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's been so fun trying to send things from the UK.
so
The
yeah,
port's closing and everything, yeah.
yeah. I will see if I can pull Anna's volume up a little bit. Yes, I think I've got it all the way maxed out here. I can also pull me down a little bit. That way, anybody who wants to turn up their thing at home can also too. And I'll pull back a little bit too. But
Sorry, I'll try and speak a bit louder as well. I'm very soft spoken.
there we go. I'll go a little bit quieter, you go a little bit louder, and hopefully everybody can finish things. So, Bifford, let me know if that is helpful for you, if we've got all that worked out. We're going to look today, Bifford says much better. We're going to look today
Right.
at a couple different projects, but first and foremost, I want to take a look at Apothecaria. This is your current or you're about to launch. You're launching tomorrow, right?
Yep.
ZineQuest offering. So tell us a little bit about Apothecaria and what we can expect from it.
So, Apothecaria is a solo journaling RPG where you play a village witch in a sort of cozy fantasy, Ghibli inspired setting. It's all about curing people of these theme hospital style ailments like photothropy, where they turn into a giant hamster at the full moon, fairy fever, where they think they're a fairy and get pneumonia, uh, dreadic madness, where they go around making stone circles. And it's mostly about just kind of having this fun time exploring this like fantasy world and filling a journal like mine here
That's
with all
awesome.
sorts of fantasy fun and nonsense.
We were talking right beforehand. I am very excited about this one for a number of reasons. One, I love that solo RPGs are becoming a more and more gene feel. I love the feel of this one specifically. I make beard balms, lotions, lip balms, all kinds of stuff, and we do a lot of those inspired by classic tabletop culture. And so, like, we'll do
Yeah.
potion themes for lots of them and other stuff like that. So, I love this, but I also love like the themes that you pulled into that. Some of those kind of like wide-eyed exploratory themes to pull into that. Tell me a little bit about the development process for you. Like, where did the idea for Apothecaria come from, or any of your future or previous projects? Like, how do you get started when you're thinking about like writing a solo RPG?
Usually just something that I'm sitting doodling or something that I'm sitting writing about or thinking about. Like for Delve, it came from a drawing I was doing in a notepad. It was just a side on view of a kind of dwarven fortress. And I was like, you know what? This is really fun to do. I wish I could gamify this. For Apothecaria, it's from my current RPG. It's a one on one RPG where my partner's playing a witch's apprentice. And I was like, this is really fun. I want to make more of this.
That's awesome. I love it. I feel like somebody who I ended up writing like journal prompts for people for years through a lot of the different work I did with young people and in different community building things that I did. I used to run like retreats and events for people that lots of times would turn into these like weekend long LARPs. But I still feel like if I was going to sit down and write an RPG for just one person, I wouldn't know. So if somebody's navigating through this for your games, is it mostly prompts? Is there any sort of like randomization elements? Like what type of work or elements do you like to include as far as the gameplay goes in your RPGs?
As far as gameplay goes, I really like using a deck of cards. to kind of bring that sort of emergent narrative. I want to give you the ability to draw and come up with these like random events that do give you prompts, but then interact in strange ways to make them like uniquely yours, without giving you too much freedom, so it becomes really like paralyzing.
Do you feel like you like what's it? How do you know that you kind of hit that mark? Like I think for me, playtesting is another question for a solo RPG. Like how do you like? Is it something that you just kind of go through the prompts over and over again, or is it something that you kind of hand out to people and get feedback from them? Like what when
Uh,
you're trying to figure out like how you've hit that mark? What are some of the indicators and how do you go about that process?
for the main part, it's usually my partner who I hand it to, and she is brutally honest with those prompts, saying whether or not they're good or if they're, don't know if you're allowed to swear on your stream.
You are, yes, you can go ahead.
Yeah, yeah,
That's fine.
yeah. She will openly tell me they're shite,
You're also
which is very
yeah.
helpful.
I also feel like shite is only half of a shit for most Americans, and so no, I love that, and so yeah, I mean, I think for me that's kind of the thing that I feel like would be. It's a little easier because you don't have to get a group of people together, but also
Yeah.
one of the most challenging pieces to know like, am I really hitting the medium for this? What was one of the things when you were making Apothecaria that you were just kind of most excited as far as the discovery process for yourself? Like when you were making it, like there are times in my design process when I'm making a game that I'll arrive at a point where I've surprised myself with something or something like a new idea will just kind of unfold. Was there a moment like that for you in Apothecaria where you got to like discover something new while designing the game?
Oh yeah, the like creating the locales that you get to explore, like Glimmerwood Grove and Blastfire Bog, and getting to fill them with like all the kind of card tables. All right, all the kind of card tables, and put the events in there, and then like that kind of brought itself into a sort of shape where it's like, there's some good, some bad, some kind of descriptive, and characters in each locale you can meet. So like that kind of form, building itself and getting to really expand that in each area led to some really cool discoveries.
That's awesome. I'm excited for it. I also want to point out, like, you got this. I know you had a little bit of trouble getting the page live. When did you get your follow page up and going?
I think the 5th, 2 days
Yeah,
ago.
and you've already got 300 people almost following your game. Is that people who you think are coming back from your previous campaign? I know you were building an email list also too.
Yeah.
Uh,
Hopefully,
uh,
hopefully it's a bit of both.
Yeah, I mean, so far out of all the ZineQuest projects, that is if not the highest, one of the 2 or 3 highest I have seen as far as follower counts go. So hopefully that transfers over really, really well to you to backers. I know that we only see about
Fingers
like
crossed.
15 to 15 to 30% of those people actually end up backing, but
Mhm.
like still that's a really good starting number. What's your funding goal for Apothecaria?
£1,000.
Awesome. Awesome. So yeah, I love that. I love also that people are like, especially people who are coming back a second time, we're seeing them put in slightly higher goals. Like a lot of people the first time it's like, I just need to get it made. Like here, it's a $300 goal. And now we're starting to see some kind of creep up there to that $1,000 mark or even higher.
Yeah.
But you sent me a couple projects you're really excited about. Some of them I already had on my list also too. Some of them we talked about on stream. Some of them we haven't because I was holding on to them for this specifically. So I'm gonna share one of mine first, and I forgot to send you this link. So if you want to pull up a browser and look along with
Yep.
me, we just hop over to Kickstarter. Or anybody who wants to, I'm gonna pop them up on the screen here while we're talking. First and foremost, because I forgot to, here's Apothecaria. I love the art on it also too. Just this splash image that you've
Yeah.
done.
So
It's
that's getting
gorgeous.
sent out as a postcard along with the game.
Oh, is it? That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think it immediately helps capture the world. I love kind of the depth of like you've got the mountains in the background, the swirling sky. You've got this kind of darker area off to the side that looks like it's got a little bit adventurous, but then
Yep.
this very like familiar, like kind of quaint, homey feeling town right in front. And like to me, it just communicates a whole lot right off the bat just through that art
Yes.
splash. So I think you captured the feel of the way you describe the game incredibly well, and it immediately makes me want to play. So that's Apothecaria. If you guys haven't gotten to check it out yet, just go search Apothecaria on
Ooh,
Kickstarter.
can I show off one last thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is something that I haven't added to it properly yet, but we're also going to be including beautiful little paper crafts.
Hold on. Let me get back to that call so everybody can see it. All right. Oh, very cool.
So that's one of the unique tools, a moonstone that can be used to purify poisoned potions.
Very
And
cool.
that is a little print file that's going to get distributed as part of it.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I love seeing people do extra things, especially when they're mixing like, hey, it's papercraft. You're going to print it out, or like it's going to get delivered as a PDF, and then you're going to do something. Actually, our game is played with D2s, but we found out it worked a lot better if they were triangles or not, basically not fully round.
Okay.
And so, in addition to having a stretch goal where they're like punch board ones that will come with it, there's a page of like, hey, here's how you make a triangular like folded like chit to be able to use in our game. And I love seeing stuff like that in people's games, also that help kind of just create an environment or just like kind of ephemera that kind of creates
Yeah.
a little bit more of a table presence
Mhm.
for some of these games. So we're gonna look at one of mine first. It's Hope is Not a Plan. Is a solo RPG. It is from Wretched and Alone, which is Chris Bissett's phenomenal solo RPG. So this is in that same vein. It's already funded, but it's a solo RPG about the existential dread of professional project management. I have jokingly said it sounds like a game that should be part of an onboarding process for every Fortune 500 company. So that's Hope is Not a Plan. I think it just looks really good. It is basically, the concept is that you are a professional who has a $20 million project that is going horribly, and you're kind of working your way through that process. So I love that they took Wretched and Alone, took some of the horror elements and like pieces of that, and then moved it into a corporate environment.
Yeah. That's
I think,
interesting.
yeah, I think it's a really just a super smart thing. And so they've already got it available digitally. So if people want to go check it out, they can. They've got a content warning. Your persona in the game will never be at risk of physical harm. But it has stress, themes of professional failure, getting blamed for things you have no control over, and
Oh,
job
no, I don't
loss.
like that.
So, yeah, for a lot of people, maybe not a game to play right now, but I just think it looks super smart. I think Chris, like Wretched and Alone, is phenomenal. Actually, it's sitting on my desk, buried underneath some dice bags right now, but I keep it close at hand. I think it's a phenomenal game. We'll talk more about some of Chris's work a little bit later. But yeah, I just think this looks like a really fun game that took something new, like take a familiar system that we know works really well and laid a theme on it that I think is a really creative addition. They've got a patch and some other stuff that's going in, a couple different versions of it. I like to talk about whether I'm backing things online. I am going to back this one. I am going to back it at a physical level, because for most solo RPGs, it feels weird to not get the physical level for me.
Yeah, I get that.
Like,
Okay, more?
yeah. Um, for Bifford, the reason we wanted to do it the other way, actually, our game we can't just use a D6 for. It depends on where it lands on a playmat. So there's kind of a deck space component, but we do have an accessibility version that is just regular dice rolls,
Okay.
also too. So he was asking about our chit things. So that's why we want the actual physical chits,
Mm.
because there's like you throw them out on a mat, and it's kind of an auricular capacity to it.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah. So anyways, I think just really great game, really phenomenal look. And so I would encourage people, if you haven't gone out and backed it yet, I'll come back and finish my pledge later when you guys can't see all of my 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 credit card information. But this is Hope is Not a Plan. It's a journaling game, a professional horror based on a Wretched and Alone. So go check it out. Let's talk. I've already talked about this on stream, but this was one of your suggestions. This is Menagerie of the Void. So Anna, tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about what stood out at you about this project, what your thoughts on it are, and I'll scroll around so people can see whatever you're talking about.
I love the fact, like, the way it kind of shows you how it plays, where it has that very, like, physical drawing borders on index cards where you are creating the boundaries of your zoo. I feel like it's similar to the way I design games, with the whole cycle begins, you get new exhibits, you create it, you talk about it, and then bad things happen. And it just keeps going through, and you build up, like, bit by bit until eventually you've got this, like, massive artifact or
Yeah,
die.
yeah, that was the actual play of this by laying out index cards was one of the things for me that jumped out.
Mm.
I'm gonna guess the name is pronounced Aaron. I'm not sure though. Aaron, the designer of this game, was also the editor on City of Mists, and I found out about this game and played City of Mist the same day for the first time the same day. I just think it's phenomenally well done. For me, one of the things that immediately jumped out, this design at the top, like this splash image, the font work itself, like the organic but already kind of sci-fi feel to it, and this creature like really strongly at the top,
Yeah.
like really beautiful image with a lot of curiosity that kind of like draws you in. And it has like some really kind of what could be like mild like body horror stuff, like you get a computer chip cybernetic implant shoved into your brain right at the beginning of
Yeah.
the game. But after that, it just kind of opens up, and you basically have to care for this zoo until you die. Which again, kind of dark, but it also just looks like a super fun exploration process where you're actually going to end up building this zoo. I think that looks awesome.
Mm.
And so
I think the wording "a new zookeeper has been acquired"
yeah,
like really sums it up really well.
yeah, and I think like that's something people need to think about. Like if you're gonna put more than just your title, like if you're gonna drop in a phrase at the very top, like I'm always looking for in the first 20 seconds I'm on a page, as I'm kind of taking everything in. I need something that really kind of like summarizes the flavor for me, and a new zookeeper has been acquired. Like immediately is very suggestive phrase that I like immediately just absolutely fall in love with, and so I'm super excited about this one also too. So let's keep on going. I had hibernation games on my list. We've talked about this one. We haven't talked about this one on stream, except for the art. This one is actually really kind of super exciting to me. It was kind of an instant back based on the collaborators alone. It's a lot of people who I really love as designers, who a lot of their games I've really enjoyed playing. So it's 5 journaling RPGs, but it's by a different Anna, Anthropy, Will Yobst, Lucian Khan. You know what? I never hear anybody. I only ever see Jian Shim name out loud, and then Vi also too. And I just love I love this team of creators gotten through, which is just a fun world building piece, and it's going to be opened up through this game that I think you could drop into anything. So have you looked at this one yet, Anna?
I had a look through it, but to be honest, wasn't my taste.
That's fine. Like I said, for me, I don't know that it was any specific thing that jumped out at me other than I really love all these creators, and like that was one of the main things for me. Each of the prompts looks fine, like as far as what they are, like each of them. The Gelatinous Cube one I think is actually the one that I'm most excited about, along with Drawing Dead by Will. But yeah, it's like I said, it's most of this art piece. Most of the fact that like these are creators that I absolutely adore the work that they do. So that was one of the main reasons up on my list. So one of your next ones was Bucket of Bolts, which is going to be it's actually it's the third game by this creator that I will have backed. But it's a phenomenal solo RPG by the same person who did Artifact and Orbital. And this is Bucket of Bolts. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this game?
So yeah, Bucket of Bolts is similar to Artifact in the concept that you're playing an object passing down through time. In this case, the kind of archetypal starship, like the Millennium Falcon, starting from rolling off the factory floor till your eventual demise or retirement, where you're just like put in a collection or left out amongst the asteroids.
One of the reasons I talked about this game a lot in comparison right now to another game that's doing very well, through Ultan's Door. They're very different as far as the vast majority. Like Ultan's Door is a module, right? Bucket of Bolts is a game. One is a solo RPG. One's for kind of OSC style group play. But here's one of the things about this game and about all the work that that Jack over at Mousehole Press does that I love is the level of craft that goes into the physical project for the game. And anybody who wants to get into like, here's the actual format I'm using, which is a different format than I know Artifact. I think Orbital also, because I think Orbital has kind of a similar format to Artifact, but I could be wrong about that. Is this 1 page, 16 page book, but then talking about the paper also, like just getting really into what stock someone is using. I love. So Artifact was an absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous physical
Yeah,
project. Um,
I've got the art print up on my wall right now.
yeah, and so I am super excited about this game also too. I keep on like hitting back, and then because I do everything on stream, not actually going through and finalizing it, so I do need to do that. They're already at 51,000. Here's the cool thing, like they were the #1 funded game last year.
Yep.
They are through Old Tan's Door will probably be the #1 funded game this year. And there are some of that is just like having the backer support, being able to
Yeah,
come back. Like it's not a ZineQuest is not a competition, but you know
it's
when
not, but Jack's winning.
yeah, but Jack's winning. Like that's always the thing that we you know you got to kind of keep in mind. And the other thing is Jack's projects tend to grow at a pretty steady rate as opposed to having just that first 2 day bump
Hmm.
and then like kind of dropping and then coming back at the very end.
Yeah,
Both Artifact and Orbital had pretty consistent growth curves. If you're you know Kickstarter nerd and a numbers nerd, it's something fun to dive into. The video on this is really good also too. By the way, I pointed people to this page a lot to say if you want to learn how to put together a good page, like you should go look at what Mousehole Press does because they just do a very good job. Through, like I said, Through Oten's Door also talks about the paper they use, but it's the craft. It's the people who are dedicated not only to I've made a great game, but I want to make a great physical project for you. I would never back a Mousehole Press project at a digital level. I
yeah.
would, like I said, I like solo zines or solo RPGs at a physical level either way, but for this one particularly, like you want the physical
Oh yeah,
product.
definitely.
And so, cool. Any other thoughts about Bucket of Bolts?
Uh, Not sure how much I can reveal about things, but I know there's some cool stuff coming.
Awesome. Well, maybe if we get a chance at the end, we can talk. We can do a little bit of talk about that. But you can decide either way. I think next up, because you overlapped a few of mine, so let's talk about the Lighthouse at the Edge of the Universe. I have not looked at this one at all. So tell me about this project.
So I've actually backed this one because this is, again, it has that same kind of feeling to the stuff that I design, where it feels meditative. It feels like stuff is interesting. It's going to happen. That's out with your control, without ever really forcing you into a game-ending situation.
That's very cool.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
I love the art on that opening
oh,
image.
it's so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I am a huge fan of the Little Prince, and that's kind of immediately what this makes my brain go to. This lighthouse floating in the middle of space. I love that shot of them
Mhm.
doing it, and this is their first created. So I love that.
I like the fact as well. Like, it's really. I'm trying to think of the right way to put it. I suppose unpretentiously worded. So like the language it uses is very easy to follow and understand.
Yeah,
Because like I'm a writer, but a lot of projects I see try and like use very fancy, very purple prose, and it's just like, well, I want to play this game and relax. I don't want to feel like I'm being tested, and I certainly don't want to have to look up a word.
I love that. Yeah, I am guilty of that 100%. Like I am a big fan of alliteration and
Mm,
just using a lot of creative language, and that's how I write my games, which I think in gameplay is fine.
yeah.
But even on our Kickstarter pages, that tends to manifest itself a lot. And so you always have to bounce those things out, like that bounce between like
Mhm.
you can be as flavorful as you want, but if people can't just understand what you're talking about, then like take a couple steps back. But this feels super meditative. So just story wise, just so anybody out there who hasn't checked it out, the lighthouse is an ordinary structure, except for the fact that it was bounced on the very edge of the universe. It had some speculated been standing since the universe began. Maintained by a solitary keeper, the lighthouse has been keeping travelers and spaceships from falling off the edge. Its steady beam can be seen galaxies away and is used as a guiding star for navigators. You're the current keeper of the lighthouse. Whatever happens, you must keep the light running. You and the lighthouse live perched on the edge of the universe. It's a rocky, mostly barren place. It would look like any rocky island back on Earth. It's just I love that idea. Like I love this this as a feel, and so yeah, it's
Like
awesome.
yeah, like a slice of normality among the extraordinary.
Yeah. I have another one I'm gonna bring up. We actually played this yesterday. We didn't play it as a solo RPG. But this one is Heroines number 3, Muspelhel, and it's primarily as set up as an OSC, so Old School Essentials, exploration of dwarven culture, and he is actually the creator. Drew has brought in like heavy Nordic folklore and other elements to their religious system and their fairy tales and other stuff like that. So dwarves, not just meaning what we think of as modern kind of fantasy dwarves, but all of the underground creatures of Nordic of Viking legends. So you have all these different creatures that he's kind of repurposed, given some different names to. Some of them are different flavors of dwarves. Drow make an appearance, but as a type of dwarf. Like, and everybody gets along. They're all just dwarves, but they all have kind of a different flavor to them. But he has made it so it's playable as a solo RPG because it's a mega dungeon. But for Drew,
cool.
one of the cool things we wanted to do was say you could just roll up a party of dwarves and try to navigate this mega dungeon on your own. And so it's compatible for solo RPG gameplay to just play yourself. And there's everything you need in the book to do it. And it's basically like character creation was about 2/3 us like making a normal OSC character. And then 1/3 rolling for dwarf, which is figuring out what our beards did, which was very exciting for me. Figuring out what our job was within Dwarven society, figuring out what our clan was in Dwarven society, which gave us usually some sort of like sometimes magical or special ability, like being able to transform into an otter or being able to eat rocks or being like all these different fun things. But you basically can roll up a party of like 4 or 5 dwarves and then try to take this giant metal door to seal the tear that's been opened up between your realm and the realm where all the gods trying to create start Ragnarok is. And so there's just it's a really cool project that was not primarily conceived as a solo RPG, but I would play it as a solo. Like, I mean, he's designed it that you can play it that way, and I would play it that way. Absolutely. I think it's a really cool kind of dungeon crawl concept. And kind of a little bit more of the feel of a chap book, but with a mega dungeon flavor added over the top of it, which I thought was kind of fun. And so awesome. Well, let's look at Operation Thingamajig. This was another one of yours, I believe. It's a roguelike RPG where slipshod team of anomalous or did I accidentally open this one? Did you send me this one?
No, yeah, I sent you that one.
Okay, perfect. All right.
Trying to find it again. There we go. Yep, back this one as well.
Awesome.
So this one, like, I just love the idea. I love the like Warehouse 13, X-Files, the SPC stuff, SCP, sorry. And like I've actually got a similar game in my kind of workload. So this is right up my street. This whole idea of like going and fighting strange artifacts and just loads of people dying to ridiculous things.
That's awesome. They've actually got they've got a video here. Let's check it out real quick. We may not watch the whole thing. It is 4 minutes long, but let's see what they did.
Hello, this is M, filling in for Dr. Z, who is presently occupied attempting to communicate with a sentient toothbrush. I am contacting you here today because, frankly, no one else is available. We were going to send in our top task force for this job, but they're already occupied tracking down a man-eating soccer ball somewhere in Argentina. Our second and third both got themselves trapped in the same cursed dollhouse, and the rest are all, understandably, on strike. We even considered sending in Task Force Pretzel for this job, but we all know they'd just make matters worse. So, I'm here to brief you today on Operation Thingamajig. Hopefully the title lives up to Dr. Z's standard. Sorry, whatever. The title relates directly to what you'll be dealing with. A-1235, or, as I and the others like to call it, the Thingamajig. Now, the Thingamajig is a levitating orb made from pieces of various unknown objects. We've contained the thing already. It's deep within our containment facilities at current, yet it continues to emit some sort of signal that is able to create new supernatural anomalies across the world. So, with that, we're sending out squads of all available personnel.
This is a good example of what people can do at home with their video if you don't have a lot of great equipment, but you do have some good basic equipment. My advice is always, if you're going to do a video, you try to keep it under 2 minutes. This one's long. I probably would have split it into an overarching video, then made this a little bit further down, maybe another video or two. But I do like the introduction of the flavor. And Warehouse 13 is like one of my favorite shows that did not get enough seasons.
I know.
So I'm all about backing this project. These levels are built out really, really well. Ooh, there's a corporate sponsor level. Do I want to be a corporate sponsor? Probably not. I mean, I probably do. That's not true, but I think we're just going to back at the physical level also too. And then 13th Fleet. The guys from the 13th Fleet are in the the RPG Zines group with both of us. I know I've seen it in there a couple times, but I have actually not made it to the page to check it out yet. So tell me what gets you excited about 13th Fleet.
I think it's got that like whole kind of beer and pretzels kind of idea, where it's like fun role playing where you're trying to dick each other over. The idea it's got that kind of like everyone wants to be the winner, in a sort of Battlestar Galactica style thing.
Yeah.
Because like I liked Battlestar Galactica, but it was so ridiculous that you kind of wonder if they had some points getting scored behind the scenes.
That's true. Because you're basically an Imperial Armada as a place where it shuffles off its problem officers, sailors, and ill-favored 13th Fleet. I did watch their preview video for this. It was very good. The spaceways have never been more inept or deceitful force. The Empire finally brings its collective might against the coalition of worlds. It does not go well. So you did with you roll for a captain who is then assigned a ship. That ship may not match that captain's persona at all, and then you kind of navigate everything with your kind of crew of red shirts, kind of rotating around. It does have a very, very fun, I think, beer and pretzels feel to it. It's also it's a lot crunchier than a lot of the things we see from ZineQuest. There's a lot of interesting overlapping mechanics that I just think provide a lot of versatility to what kind of comes into play with it. Forged in the Dark was also one of the systems we expected to see hacked a whole lot. This ZineQuest also too. So and is currently the case. Like it's getting hacked a lot, and so. But I also love the way of sharing who the team is in these kind of admiral uniforms down at the bottom. I think not enough people show who they are, and giving me a face to go with the designer thing immediately makes me realize you're a person. And that I want to support your project a little bit more. So that's just me. Not everybody wants to do that. Not everybody wants their picture out there. That's fine. Not putting your picture there doesn't make me like not want to back your game. But it does remind me when I see people that there are people behind this project.
Yeah.
I think that's a good
What
thing.
if they use their mugshot?
That's fine too, especially if it depends on the theme of the game. That could be perfect. And so, so that's 30. And then you gave me one that you said, hey, it's not a solo RPG, but I do want to talk about it. And that was Low Stakes.
Oh yeah.
So I'm a big What We Do in the Shadows fan. We helped kickstart the American release of What We Do in the Shadows. So we got some Werewolves Not Swearwolves shirts.
Very cool.
And we actually had to get more because my son stole my wife's and then stained it. But this is a game designed to kind of replicate the feel of What We Do in the Shadows. Is a New Zealand mockumentary about vampires living in the modern world. So. Talk to me about why you love this game and why you wanted to include it, even though it's not a solo game.
Well, purely because we saw the television series recently, watched it through entirely 3 times in a row, and we're like, right, how do we replicate this? Right, we'll go get Vampire the Masquerade out, and this just looks like it might be better fitted for it.
Yeah. It's 100% designed to do exactly what you want to do, and I actually love this. I love somebody who is out there thinking like, I love this intellectual property. You know, I could just go grab a game to do that, or I could start, building it myself. I think we see a lot of PBTA hacks that I see out there. Like that's entirely what it feels like. Somebody was in love with the concept, and wanted to do it. That's not what this game is, as far as I know. I don't believe it is. But there's a couple actual plays, which this is always great when you can include things that let people know your game is real and exists. They're doing fulfillment by drive-through RPG, which is great for both UK and US backers. And then a clear statement of kind of what they're doing with the money also too. Craig's done a really good job building out this campaign. It's not complex. It's really simple, but it's a really, really, really solid campaign. So, so awesome. All right. Well, so there's a couple different solo RPGs that we liked. Oh man, there's like 19 people watching us now. Hey guys, how's it going? Uh, this is just Anna and I. We're talking about some different solo RPGs that we liked the look of. Let's for people who have joined us now at the end, Anna, tell us a little bit about Apothecaria again. Just give us the elevator pitch of your game that is coming out for everybody who's just joined us.
So, yep, launching tomorrow on 8th of February. Apothecaria is a cozy fantasy solo journaling RPG set in a Ghibli-inspired world where you will be curing theme hospital-style fantasy ailments like photothropy, where they turn into a giant hamster in the full moon. Is that elevator picture enough?
No,
Am I
that's great.
picturing a
Yeah,
fast elevator?
I was giving them a little bit of look through it. I was also reading all the somebody Scott Ools asked me if I can pronounce it again for us, which there's an ongoing bit that I do where if I can't pronounce something, I'll give people 3 or 4 different pronunciations of it at any given moment so that they can hear me mispronounce it over and over and over again. And sometimes I get it right, and sometimes I don't. But sometimes I'll do it on repeat also too.
So, let's go. Let's hear.
Well, I don't know what he wanted me to repronounce. So Apothecaria I can pronounce. I don't know what I was not pronouncing properly earlier that he thought that was the case for. And then Gothridge Manor Tim Staples said thanked us for bringing Lighthouse at the Edge of the Universe to his attention because he just went and backed it. And then a lot of people also loving Warehouse 13 and other shows that we were talking about also too. So
it needs to be brought back.
Oh yeah, and I feel like they could. Like I feel like it's the kind of show that you could just kind of pick back up.
Yeah,
You know?
just take that final episode and just sort of be like, right, that's not happened.
Yeah. And
That was a dream sequence.
yeah. Or you know, like here's the new crew, you know, you'd even Warehouse 14 it. I mean, you'll lose the fact that it's 13, but you know, like you just do the next Warehouse. It's fine. And so just Apothecaria. Also, if you guys have not yet, I'll pop Apothecaria back up there, but also at the bottom of that, you can see we have our RPG, which is called Repugnant, which is the world's grossest RPG, is what we're billing it as, but you're playing as kind of just normal, disgusting folks who live in this trash-filled world filled with old electronics, planetary fluid, and all kinds of, rotting stuff all around them. And they're just trying to make it through the day. They're just normal people. You can find out more about that at ttrpg.link/grossrpg. It's right there, right below Apothecaria on the screen right now. If you want to check out our game, that launches on the 15th. That is not a solo RPG either, but it has a really cool system that we're calling Covered in Chit that we're using as the power for that. It's a kind of dex-based oracular system, but we've created an accessibility resource for it so that if you really suck at dex-based mechanics, then you're not just out in the cold. And it's not heavy dex, it's just light dex. And so, because we do want anybody to be able to play it. So, so you had a kind of a special announcement that you gave me a teaser on right before we started, and that's that you have some big news. There's some big news coming to the world of solo RPGs, and we're gonna let everybody know what it is right now. And I say we, I mean you, because you know what it is.
Yes. So, as of this month, myself at Blackwell Games, Jack from Mousehole Press, Chris Bissett of Loot the Room, or Wretched and Alone, and Matt Sanders of the Sealed Library are coming together to create a gaming collective called Rainy Day Games.
I love that. So what are some of the things that we may be able to look forward to or expect from this collective? Is it just a way to kind of gather and pool your resources together? Are y'all going to be working on games together? What are some of the things that people out there who are fans of solo RPGs can kind of look forward to?
Well, originally it was hoping to be a way for us to start doing conventions in a much more efficient way, where we could all pull together, share a stall, and really bring all of our games to everyone. But then 2020 continued on. So what we're doing instead is we're looking at kind of like weird and wonderful things we can do together. Things like ephemera games, which are like tiny little games that are put onto like the kind of like business stationery you get at like networking events. We're looking at kind of collaborating on certain things. We've only recently started talking about these things, so they're kind of still up in the air, but we do have plans.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to, because those are all people whose work I love, whose solo RPGs I love, and so I am super excited to see what comes out of rainy day games. I think
Mhm.
I think it's phenomenal. I'm super
Yeah.
thrilled, and thank you so much for coming on and also sharing that with us too, making this the global worldwide debut
Yep.
of that information. The tell people again one more time about Apothecaria, and it's going live tomorrow.
Mhm.
I'm going to put it up here on the screen one more time so that people can see it. I want you guys to pay attention to that awesome, just kind of beautiful opening image. I love the idea behind this game. So tell people a little bit more about what they can expect from playing it.
Yeah. Well, you can get your beautiful journals, and then you can fill them with all manner of stories from your time as a village witch in this cozy Ghibli inspired world where you're curing people of these different ailments. Like, I mean, like, I know my partner's playing through where she's trying to help someone who's been drunk, which means a vampire has drunk their blood, and they keep leaving the window open for them, which means they're getting chilled. Uh, and like having to go out and find these regents to make potions to cure them of their ailments leads to further adventures, and like you build your own version of the setting.
That's awesome. Tell and you showed me just a second ago. Show everybody else one more time, kind of
Okay.
that paper craft piece that's going to come in. This will be something you can print out and kind of put together as an element that you can use in play
Yep.
also too, which I love. I love solo
Yeah.
RPGs that are giving good table presence also too, and I love that idea.
Yeah.
Maybe one last question as you're kind of thinking about stretch goals for a solo RPG. Are you just doing it simple, no stretch goals, or do you have some stretch goals planned?
I have quite a few planned.
You want
uh,
to? Can we get a sample of one of those, or what you think are fun stretch goals for solo RPGs?
okay, I'm happy to go through a few of them. So my favorite one that I'm excited for if we reach it is I want to release 2 postcard games, similar to what Jack did with the artifact. One of which is about the secret life of your familiar, and another one is about creating and selling wands.
Awesome, awesome. I love it. I love it. I love people kind of adding in those simple pieces that add a
Mhm.
lot to it, and even as standalone, it's kind of separate games, but that match the feel and flavor of what they're already creating. Yeah, Mousehole Press does a great job of it. I love the idea of that one. I can't wait to back tomorrow. We'll also feature it tomorrow on stream again,
Mhm.
also too for anybody who missed today, because I know not everybody tunes in on a Sunday. That's fine. Everybody's
Yeah.
got stuff going on. But thank you so much for playing. If people want to find not specifically your game, but just more information about you and your work, where's the best place for them to look for that?
Either Blackwell Writer on Twitter or blackwellwriter.com.
Awesome. And again, you guys know if you've been following, but if you haven't, that's okay. You can find us at +1EXP across almost every social media platform. We're a weird little brand that multi-classes in tabletop game design, beard and skincare alchemy, and the Bardic College of Content Creation. We are basically live streaming almost every day, though I am going to take Saturdays off because I just need a day. As much as I
Yeah.
love you guys, like I'm super excited at the end of every stream to talk to people more, but I just need a day. like, and so I will still be streaming most Saturdays. It just will not be normal ZineQuest content. If you haven't heard about this yet, we are playing Tezca Sentai tomorrow night. That is Latin American, Aztec inspired Power Ranger RPG created by a couple of Latin American creators that I'm super excited to dive into. I just got my character sheet from them. I'm going to be building that tonight. So that's tomorrow night. We're doing that. And then our game launches on the 15th. It's repugnant. You can find out more about that at ttrpg.link/gross RPG if you want to check that out. It is gross, but it is also a really phenomenal system. And the artwork that John DeCampos has done, who is my collaborator on the project, is gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. We're streaming, teasing a lot of that right now. But until tomorrow, where I'll be back, Anna and I are just gonna wave at the screen until I end the stream. Bye, guys.
Bye.
As soon as I find the title card. Do, 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 do.